Call the meeting to order of Silver Falls School District Board. All members are present. We'll have the flag salute.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the agenda, we've got two late items to put on here. For 10C, in discussion, a band field trip out of state. And for 12B, under action items, we'll add band field trip out of state. It was late making the rounds and they're running up against the registration deadline, so. Okay, I'll entertain a motion on the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as posted.
Second?
Well,
How about as amended, or as amended?
as amended.
As amended. My
I'll second
apologies.
that.
Okay, been moved and second to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, then we have the consent agenda. And I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda unless somebody has something they want pulled out of it.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay. And now I gotta scroll a ways down here. Okay, we'll have our student representatives, J.J. Brown and Adeline Kinsey?
Mr. Chair, I don't see them present.
What's that?
I don't see them present.
We don't see
Oh,
that.
okay. All
Bummer.
right.
No, they made it last time at the right time. Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to filling our board vacancy. And hopefully all our candidates are here. We've ended up with 7 people that applied to fill the vacancy that was left by Tom's resignation. And the person we select will end up finishing out the term, Tom's term, which is basically 2 years. It'll be up in June of 27. And the process tonight will, all the applicants, they've turned in an application and given us quite a bit of information on that, which we had. And in alphabetical order, I'll bring each candidate up, and we'll have about 3 or 4 questions here to ask you, and you'll have 2 minutes on each of those limits. Derek will flash up a reminder as you're getting close to the end, so that you know. And then when we're done with the first candidate, then we'll ask the same questions of the next. When we're all finished with that process, then the board will discuss amongst ourselves as far as our thoughts on candidate to fill the vacancy. And then once we're satisfied that we've hashed that out to our board satisfaction, we will take a vote on who that person would be and do as many rounds we need to vote until we've got at least 4 of the 6 have picked the same person. So, board, is there any questions that you have before we start of the process or anything? Okay. Okay, Christopher Bailey, would you come up, please?
Good evening.
Good evening. And if you'd please state your full name for the board record and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Is this on? I just want to make Okay, my name is Christopher Scott Bailey. I'm a member of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde. I've worked for my tribe for the past 26, 27 years. Most of my whole life, actually, if you count working as a child and stuff. Spent most of that time in our youth education program as a tutor for a while, and then also as a licensed teacher. My education background is I have a bachelor's degree in public policy and administration from Western Oregon University, and I got my Master of Arts in teaching at the University of Oregon. I've spent the last 9 years after education, I've worked in our tribe's historic preservation office, and I work with state and local governments in advocating for our tribe's place throughout our homelands and protecting our traditional and cultural places. Wife and I moved from Grand Ronde into Scotts Mills over 20 years ago. Raised 2 children, one of whom's already graduated from Silverton High School, and we currently have a senior in Silverton High School right now. I've been part of the community for 20 years, and it's seen my kids spend their whole time through the Silverton School District, and we've been a part of that district mostly at the Butte Creek School when they were younger, and then later on when they came to the high school.
Okay. Second here. How will you balance the needs of different groups within the district, such as students, parents, teachers, and taxpayers?
My philosophy when I think about schooling is, our main goal is everybody's here for the kids. The students' needs are, they need to be educated and prepared for life once they reach adulthood. With teachers, our goal is they're the ones that are actually providing that to the students, and so we need to support those teachers as best we can, ensuring that they don't have too large a class size, they have the materials they need to prepare the students, and the support they need in the administration. Parents need to understand that their children are going to be able to be successful out in the adult world when they leave. That's this whole point of adolescence. We're teaching these kids to grow up and be members of society, and the parents need to have faith in the school district, the teachers, that everybody's going to do their job, and their students, when they graduate, are going to be able to go out and live the life that they want. And the taxpayers want to know that their money's being spent appropriately to reach those goals. Educating students is an important part of our civic society. We need educated members of society out there that are going to be future workers, future leaders. And when I look at everything, I won't say the most important thing, but one of the main pieces of that, as we look at that support system, is we got to make sure that the school and the teachers have the both economic support and the community support to get those students the need, or I'm rambling a little bit, to get the students what they need. And what they need is to be educated. They need to understand, not just all the basic core subjects, but they also need to learn while they're within school how to function within a society. That's what school is also teaching students how to function within groups of other people, sometimes vastly diverse other people. And they're going to have differences of opinions, differences of ideas, and understanding how to make those work together, as well as getting the knowledge that they're going to need to be educated. Oh, okay. I was like, oh, wait.
Okay, thank you. A well-rounded board represents our whole community with a variety of perspectives from across our diverse community. What unique perspectives will you bring to the board?
The obvious one, the main one, is I'm an indigenous person, member of my tribe. I have worked as an advocate for our youth in their local school districts. That was Willamina and Sheridan school districts, ensuring that they were able to navigate, them and their family were able to navigate through the school as children of color, minority groups. At Willamine, I think it was around 20% of the student body was Native American students. So all those kids were my kids. Some of them needed way more help than others, and understanding that there's different needs. And it wasn't just needs of ethnicity. There was also socioeconomic needs that some of those students had. We had to work with kids that some of them were homeless. Some of them were students that their families, they were first generation graduates, and we had to help navigate kids and their families through what that meant and how to get them to that finish line, which is graduation. And some of that actually involved educating other members of the community, educating teachers of what it meant to be part of diverse groups and understand, like, these backgrounds. Some of them may look the same as yours, but there are certain things that of these kids that they, or parents, that they don't understand and they don't see at that point, and have to educate that. I come from a terminated tribe, so our tribe wasn't recognized by the government in the 50s, and then in the 80s we were restored, and that is a different way of looking at things, because a lot of our tribal members were a lot of the students they had looked like everyday, like they would look like Caucasian students, and they wouldn't see them as being a part of that community sometimes, and we had to help educate, well, this is what that means, this is where they're from. And so primarily that's where my diversity background comes from, is working with different groups.
Okay. And finally, what are some specific goals that you may have for our district if appointed?
I mean, the way I look at things when I'm looking at the future and looking at the groups is I am a long-term looker, or I look far ahead. We do a lot of stuff where we see, for an example, a construction project. If we're looking at a construction project, basically, is this going to be big enough? It's big enough for our needs now, usually when you're designing it, but is it going to be big enough for the needs 5 years after it's built? Because a lot of times I've seen when people do projects, they're building for what their needs are now, and they're not doing what are our needs 5 years in the future. And I mean, I'm sure the board all know that Oregon's growing, and people are moving outside to the rural areas as much as the cities, and we're seeing lots of housing. That means, I mean, Silverton's been growing. You see it all the time. You hear about it all the time. Everybody talks about how it's not the little town anymore, and it's not. No towns are the little towns anymore. Everybody's moving out. Our population is growing. So anything that we have to do or look forward to is going to be, we have to prepare for that for the future, and that's going to be economically, that's going to be like community driven. You have to, and we're going to have to work with the community to get the funds we need to have the facilities we need. We got to make sure that the class sizes are what's going to be helpful for those students to get their education. We can't overwhelm our teachers with what we have. We can't just make do sometimes. We're going to have to really look forward to how can we make the best out of this, and how can we motivate the community to understand what the needs of the school are.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, if we could have Rodney Danskin. Please give your full name for the board record, and then tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Rodney Eugene Danskin. I moved to the Silverton area in 2001 after retiring from the military. I've been in the community, currently have 7 grandchildren at Butte Creek and 1 in Silverton High School. I had 4 daughters graduate from Silverton High School. Currently I work in the semiconductor industry as a project manager. I have a bachelor's degree in project management and a master's degree in engineering and technology management with a graduate certificate in project management.
Okay. How will you balance the needs of different groups within the district, such as students, parents, teachers, and taxpayers?
That was a really good question. I kind of mulled on that one for a while. I have many friends throughout the community in all different types of cultures, the Russian culture, the Hispanic, all around. And obviously, I said I have a bunch of grandchildren in the school community. Some of my son-in-laws are farmers in the area, so I get a good cross-cut idea of what people are thinking and what they say. It's taking those and mulling them all together and trying to make it work for everybody.
Okay. A well-rounded board represents our whole community with a variety of perspectives from across our diverse community. What unique perspectives will you bring to the board?
One of my children were special needs, and so I have a lot of empathy for the special needs area. I taught for a few years at George Fox, so I have the teaching perspective, how it always doesn't go how you want to. But I core believe that diversity makes a team stronger, and looking at the team holistically and working with them will make a stronger team.
Okay. And 4, what are some specific goals that you may have for our district if appointed?
The main goal is to get ensure that children are getting the education and experience possible, and providing them with that. Secondly would be being a good steward of the resources we're given. I think that's extremely important for the board.
Okay, thank you. And I apologize, I'm gonna give it the best shot I can. Kashana Knoll, is it Kashana? Kashana, okay. Okay, please state your full name for the board record and then tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, my name's Kashana Knoll, and I'd like to say thank you. I'm excited to be part of this process this evening. I am proud to say that myself, my husband Carl, my daughter Kiliana are all graduates of Silverton High School, and myself and my daughter are graduates of Scotts Mills Elementary. I am not going to date myself too much. I don't remember when I first came to this area. I think I was 6, but I've been here a long time. I have 30 years in education. I have a bachelor's from University of Portland and a master's from Purdue University and an admin license from Lewis and Clark. Again, 30 years in education. I've been a teacher, I've been an assistant principal, I've been a principal, and about a year and a half ago, I kind of took a segue and have been working as an investigator for Teacher Standards and Practices Commission. So that's been pretty exciting. My daughter is, again, I have to put this plug in case she happens to be watching. She's hopefully, God willing, going to graduate from University of California, Davis this year. So very excited about that. And again, owes a lot to what she learned here in this room even. When I'm not busy working, I live on a farm, we raise blueberries, and I'm the proud owner of a show quality dairy goat herd. So yes, that's my claim to fame. So that's me.
Okay, thank you. How will you balance the needs of different groups within the district, such as students, parents, teachers, and taxpayers?
I actually think this is one of the most important roles as a board member for us. How do we balance all of those, respect and honor all those, realizing that everyone is coming to us with different backgrounds, different perspectives, and also different experiences with the public school system, some good, some bad. Our role as a board member is to help, again, honor and listen to those viewpoints. At the same time, making certain that we are transparent in our expectation, that the first and foremost need is what's best for our students, that we will be making our decisions based on that as our true north, what is best for our kiddos. With that, underlying that, we're going to be hopefully making those decisions based on data. And again, hearing kind of what's happening, balancing those short-term needs with those long-term needs. Sometimes one might outweigh the other. If that's so, some people might be unhappy with us, as long as we're transparent and explain the why behind the decision-making. Is, I think, one of the crucial points of keeping those, all those needs balanced as much as possible, being open and transparent.
Okay. A well-rounded board represents our whole community with a variety of perspectives from across our diverse community. What unique perspective will you bring to the board?
I think I'm a very good bridge of the old and the new. I have deep understanding of the community, values, traditions, institutional history that Zone 7 represents. I know all the back roads. At the same time, I've lived a lot of other places. I've lived and taught in Indiana, in Texas. I spent 10 years in Budapest, Hungary, where I worked at the American International School. I had a chance to see a variety of different ways of approaching education. I also, through my career, have worked with private schools, charter schools, and home schools, and various other stakeholders, and realizing, again, that collaborative approach between maybe taking those important values and community traditions and yet marrying them with some new and innovative ways as we go forward in this kind of unknown world of education.
Okay. And for what are some specific goals that you may have for our district if appointed?
One, I'd like to continue the good work that this board has done, and Tom in particular. I think there's been a lot of great rebuilding of trust, and I'm very excited that this is continuing on. Primarily for me, though, I think it's definitely working on student retention. After the pandemic, school districts across the nation have really struggled with losing students to those charter schools, those public schools, those home schools. I think it's about 15%. Keeping that in mind is how we can make a district that will attract and keep our students. As a board member, we'll be looking at policies, ways to create fiscal stability so that we can do that. With that fiscal accountability piece, knowing that we are facing significant budget cuts, particularly in SPED, as well as a PERS cliff coming up that, as board members, we're going to have to keep in mind and trying to find some ways to, maneuver that strategically.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And George or Mac McCullum?
Good evening. Thank
Good
you.
evening. Please state your full name for the board record and then tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
All right. George Armand McCollum III. I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I've been a member of the community for the past 12 years. And I basically understand the gaps and areas outside of the outlying regions of the district a little better than most, and so Region 7 has some of those areas. I've been a member of the military. Thank you, Rodney. I want to say thank you for your service. I also retired 22 years out of the military. I was a field artillery officer, and basically, leadership wasn't always about who was the loudest in the room, but it was focusing on the mission and making decisions that got the mission done and supported those who executed the mission. Following the military, I was in private sector consulting and was primarily doing implementations for ERP or enterprise resource planning rollouts, focusing on inventory management, inventory and warehouse production control, and also procure-to-pay operations. Basically, for organizations, it was getting the right resources to the right people at the right time. And basically, it's what good systems do. They don't get in the way, and they support the work that needs to get done. For the past 9 years, my family and I have supported the local schools doing Christmas tree sales, haunted houses, the whole booster club circuit. And basically, I understand what the gaps are from seeing a lot of that going on. Thank you.
Okay. How will you balance the needs of different groups within the district, such as students, parents, teachers, and taxpayers?
It's a good question. I think the big thing is you don't balance those through treating them as competing interests or independent interests. You've got to align those around a shared purpose. And that shared purpose really for the board should be preparing students for success after they graduate. In my consulting work, I've had to deal with navigating situations where the profits of businesses and work union practices did not jive. Basically, one situation is an example, a new implementation had union workers who did not have the technical skills for the new solution and didn't allow the younger union members to do that task. And so you ended up with a situation where stuff didn't go out the door. And so we had to come up, what's the easiest thing? Pick a side, but that's not the right thing. You need to ask the question, what serves the outcome or the best outcome for everybody? And I think in doing that, we redesigned workflows for the solution. We basically honored the union structure. We got material out the door, and everybody didn't get exactly what they wanted, but we got what most was needed, and that was the material being shipped. And that's how I would approach this role. I think students need a system to prepare them for the future. I think parents need transparency so they know where their dollars are going and why. And teachers need tools and autonomy to make sure that they're able to do their job without unnecessary roadblocks. And taxpayers just need to see that every dollar spent is moving towards the goal.
Okay, thank you. A well-rounded board represents our whole community with a variety of perspectives from across our diverse community. What unique perspectives will you bring to the board?
I think I see sometimes that the items that get missed or overlooked, especially being part of one of the outlying schools. There are items that just get flagged, not fully resolved. Problems sometimes just linger, and I'm not here to point fingers. It's just because those schools deserve as much attention as the resources, say, in town. Also, I think that sometimes things that don't get said normally are not every student needs to go to a four-year school, but that's not a deficit. That some students are going to end up in trades. Some are going to just go straight into business after high school. Some are going to have their own path, the military being one. And I think that the job of the school board really is to make sure that every student walks out of here with the skills, the confidence, and the tools necessary for a successful life. From a practical standpoint, I think I bring strategic planning, logistics and systems thinking, skills that I've learned in the military and private sector consulting. I know how to look at complex problems, break them down, build solutions that work for a real world. And I think a school board is not much different from managing a large-scale operation like that. You need clarity of mission, accountability, and execution with the flexibility to adapt when things don't go as planned.
Okay, thank you. What are some specific goals that you may have for our district, if appointed?
Pretty straightforward. Make sure the district's working for the people it serves, the students, teachers, families, and taxpayers. It starts with transparency. People need to see where their tax dollars are going, understand why budget decisions are being made. If we're spending money, it should be moving the needle towards students. If not, we owe community an answer on explaining why, or maybe change the decision. And finally, it just means preparing students for their lives going forward. There's not a one-size-fits-all, as we sometimes do a default to. And so it means extending pathways for trades, technical skills, real-world problem solving. My goal, make sure that every student can walk out confident, capable, and ready for what comes next.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Okay. Justin Nielsen. Good evening.
Hi,
Would you please state your full name for the board record, and then please tell us a little bit about yourself?
my name is Justin Scott Nielsen. I made notes because I have a tendency of over talking, and I know there's a lot of issues to talk about, and I noticed as other people were answering the questions, I got my notes mixed up because I was watching the Mariners game today. So I'm going to do my best. But most importantly, I'm a dad of 2 children that are in the Silver Falls School District, currently attending Silvercrest. I'm also owner and executive director of Oregon Recovery Behavioral Health. We're the largest outpatient SUD substance use counseling provider in the Willamette Valley with 4 locations. I've been in the field and licensed as a counselor now for over 20 years. And I do have 2 degrees in behavioral health counseling. Most notably, I was appointed by Governor Brown in 2018 to represent the treatment sector for the Governor's Advisory Council on DUI. So having a business perspective and also through a lens from a father with kids in the school district, I would say the most notable issues that I'm going to be including and integrating in my answers are pretty simple. First off, customer service, fidelity, retention, and growth, academics, fiscal responsibility, and solvency.
Thank you. How will you balance the needs of different groups within the district, such as students, parents, teachers, and taxpayers?
So I think to answer that question appropriately, you need to divide each one of those constituencies incrementally. First off, improving customer service, and if I could give you some examples of what I've experienced as a parent from the district. First off, I did submit an application to volunteer at my kid's school starting last year. I submitted the background check. I never heard back from the school district. And Debbie, I know you're in charge of that. I don't mean to be too critical, but I think there's room to improve because come to find out, I was not the only one that has happened to. And so when I researched it further, it turns out that I was approved and then later found out that there's additional online courses that I need to complete. So fortunately, I have completed those. Also, during COVID, I also failed to mention in my background that I have a history of coaching JBO in my son's young baseball career. And during COVID, there was an issue with the players on the field at one of the schools for use purposes. And I had emailed the board questions about this issue. I only heard back from one board member, and then the issue never got resolved, and there was no follow-up. Also, there's a message on your website, and I don't know if you visited your website recently, but it basically talks about the mission and the purpose of the board. And I don't remember exactly what it says verbatim, but there's verbiage on there that says if you have issues, it's best to first contact the school and set up a meeting with the principal. I'll tell you, as a parent, it comes off as like, don't bother us, the board, with macro issues. And I think that or micro issues. I think that's the wrong message to be sending to parents. I would encourage us to invite anybody that has issues, and then the board can facilitate and provide resources to solve those kinds of problems. I also would focus on improving staff retention. At Silvercrest, we've had 4 different principals since my kids have been there, and that speaks directly to continuity and consistency, improved student retention. There's also not a comprehensive plan for discipline or behavior issues that we've experienced, and also fiscal discipline would be included in that.
Okay. What are some specific goals that you may, oh, my bad, got on the wrong question. A well-rounded board represents our whole community with a variety of perspectives from across our diverse community. What unique perspectives will you bring to the board?
I think we all appreciate the diversity inside the school district that we all bring. However, I think instead of focusing on our differences, we really need to embolden our commonalities, which is education. And as I was doing some research on your website, and I think the most recent test scores available for the school district were 2022, 2023, if I'm not mistaken. Looking at that, and I encourage anybody that's watching to look at this because it's public record, but Silverton school districts, in my opinion, are underperforming in a big way. Is that we're only showing on average 40-something% proficiency in both reading and math. I don't know what the state average is, and frankly, it doesn't matter because I only care about Silver Falls School District. But I think that there is a lot of room to improve in academics. Emphasis should be placed on academics, and that should be prioritized. Just to give you some personal perspective, we found out this year that my son is behind basic arithmetic, and we had no idea he was behind. There was no communication from the school. After talking to him, he had asked for additional help. I recently had brought that up with our school, and additional resources have still not been provided. So as parents, we're doing the best we can to bring him up to proficiency, but I really think that that's the responsibility of the school to do that. Again, that's why we do what we do. We want the best academic performance that the school can provide and for our children.
Okay, thank you. And finally, what are some specific goals that you may have for our district if appointed?
So I referenced the website earlier, and I kind of interpreted this question a little bit different from the other candidates, is that I have a unique idea that I want to offer you. And I don't know, again, not to sound too critical, but I don't know if you've looked at your website lately. Your website is, it needs a lot of help. It needs a lot of improvement. It's not attractive. If I was a parent coming into the community trying to research schools, it's not something that would blow me away and make me excited about Silver Falls School District. So after doing some research and talking to Debbie, it's my understanding that you used to have a communications director that was in charge of doing the website, and then he resigned and the position wasn't filled during COVID because of budget problems. So my idea would be not to spend more money to rehire for that position. My idea would be to utilize the resources that we already have in the district by asking I don't know what you would call it, a multimedia class or something, or some website design, graphic design class for the high school, to work collaboratively with different schools in our district to come up and design our own Silver Falls School District website. And then at the end of the year, there would be a presentation made to the board. Within that year, different students would have different responsibilities and assignments. And then the board would have, the final say or influence on, hey, we need to make this addition, need to make that addition. But I think that would be an awesome idea of how to utilize the resources we already have without having to spend additional money from either an outside individual or an outside firm. It would be a real life kind of business scenario, if you will. and then also incorporating the work from our students. How cool would that be if you could add that on a college resume? So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, Jesse Smith.
Thanks very much.
Good evening. Please state your full name for the board record and then tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my full name for the record is Jesse Scott Smith. I am 50 years old. I've been married for 20 years this year, and my wife and I have 2 children who have both attended Silver Falls schools. I have a master's degree in business administration and decades of experience running my own business, which I started from a rented bedroom with nothing but a home computer and a dream. I am a runner, an author, and a self-help believer. Through my business, I have built dozens of websites, and I have published 15 books in a variety of genres, as well as several albums worth of music under my band name, Flamergics. Last year, I produced a comic short film based on a Shakespeare play directed by my friend Anna Gillick. I currently teach private music lessons in piano, guitar, drums, and voice to students at Soundstream here in Silverton. And I've also been privileged to be a stay-at-home dad for many years, supporting my wife by caring for our family, thus empowering her to pursue a successful professional career. I have traveled extensively, visited more than a dozen American states and as many foreign countries, and I worked and studied overseas for 2 years when I was younger. I have campaigned for local public office twice, first as the Democratic candidate for state representative in 2022, and then in 2023 when I ran against Tom Buchholz for this very seat on the school board. Finally, one of my children is neurodivergent with a learning disability on the autism spectrum. Caring for him has involved challenges that parents of neurotypical children can only imagine. But he is my son, and I love him very much, and I want the best for him, just like I want the best for all the children of Silver Falls School District.
Okay, thank you. How will you balance the needs of different groups within the district, such as students, parents, teachers, and taxpayers?
This is a tough one, because I think the real problem is that it's not possible to maintain a perfect balance between all these different groups and their conflicting interests. Someone is always going to come out feeling like they lost. And oftentimes, in a true compromise settlement, everybody is going to come out feeling like they lost. Balancing all these opposing needs is kind of like chasing an illusion, because you cannot make everyone happy. And when you try to say yes to everybody, you wind up in serious trouble. So what you have to do instead is you live by your values, and you lead in accordance with your core principles, and you do the best you can. When you make a mistake, as we all do sometimes, then you apologize and you learn from it and you keep going. You listen to the concerns of as many different stakeholders as you can, and you try to be as responsive to those concerns as you can be. And you accommodate as many requests as you can. But in the end, eventually, you have to set boundaries and tell people no. And that's hard because nobody likes to be told no. But the district does not have unlimited resources. So at some point, it's like that old Rolling Stones song, you can't always get what you want. That's a hard truth sometimes, and it's an unpopular thing to say. But simply ignoring the hard truth will not make it go away.
Thank you. A well-rounded board represents our whole community with a variety of perspectives from across our diverse community. What unique perspectives will you bring to the board?
As I interpreted it, this seems like a kind of a personal question, so I will go with my interpretation, which is a confession that I am different. I have always been different. When I was a child, I went to Catholic school for 6.5 years, but my parents were agnostic, so I was different. Even after switching to public school, I felt alienated by my peers for what would now be considered very moderate political and religious beliefs. I am different, both in the public sphere And in my personal life, I feel that I am surrounded by political extremists on both sides, while I myself am rather stridently holding on to a more moderate, centrist worldview based on idealistic notions of tolerance and universal love, and therefore I feel that I am different. I understand that in our current cultural environment, it's difficult to consider the possibility that someone who looks like me has lived through the kinds of experiences that I described in my cover letter. But in our society, these kinds of experiences are faced by anyone who is different in any way. I grew up on a small family farm out in the woods. I started working for minimum wage at age 15. Over the years, I have painted houses, I have bucked hay bales and mucked out horse stalls and raised pigs. I've worked fast food, cannery work, factory work, and more. When I was younger, I struggled with poverty and depression. I slept in my car. I lived in a disused horse barn for a couple of years. I have not lived a normal life. But I will tell you what, it has been an amazing life, and I am grateful for it. I have learned, I've grown, I've traveled, and I am proud to have emerged from my own personal rock bottom, and part of my life's work is to share my faith in the power of hope.
Thank you. What are some specific goals that you may have for our district if appointed?
Thank you. First and foremost, above all else, the top priority for Silver Falls School District must be to balance and future-proof the district's budget without relying on a tax increase. I can't say how that will be achieved, but it will not be easy, and one way or the other, it will involve telling a lot of people no. In order to achieve the goal of a future-proofed, balanced budget, everything will have to be on the table, including some options that many people would consider unthinkable, because the most truly unthinkable and unacceptable option would be to just sit back and do nothing. Beyond that, I would like to ensure support for ESL and special education instruction to ensure that all of the students at Silver Falls School District have the best possible opportunities when they head out into the world. I would like to see the music and art programs receive a level of funding comparable to the levels we always allot to athletics programs. And most controversially, I would like to hold people accountable when individual district staff members abuse their positions by pushing their own personal views on a captive audience. As I explained in my cover letter, a number of key court rulings support my view that in a public school setting, an instructor's personal, political, and religious beliefs must be balanced by respect for opposing views. Instructors must not push their views on their students. It's against the law. Advocating on behalf of religious beliefs in a public school is absolutely unacceptable, and constructing course curricula around a political lens is also absolutely unacceptable, and for the same reason. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
And Brian Starr? Good evening. Please state your full name for the board record and then tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is William Brian Starr, and my parents did this to me. I go by my middle name. And it's been fun over the years. Anyway, William Brian Starr. Lived in the Silverton area for 29 years. Came to Silverton in 1996 to be the principal superintendent of Victor Point Elementary School. This was prior to consolidation, and so I was the acting superintendent, worked closely with ESD at the time because I had no experience as a superintendent. But anyway, my three children have all graduated from Silverton High School. They went through the schools here as their age is permitted. My youngest started in second grade. in Victor Point Elementary School.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm not, yeah. 3 months ago, I lost my balance. I was up on a 10-foot wall, and we were remodeling our house, and I was helping my brother pick a beam up, and I fell off the wall, lost my balance, fell off the wall, and I've suffered a concussion. And so I don't see real well right now. The impact has been my vision, mostly. And so I just share that with you right now. I'm on the road to recovery, and I will be having vision therapy here in town in the next, well, depends on the optometrist to tell me how many weeks. So if I look at you kind of funny, it's because I'm trying to focus. Not that I'm weird. Okay. Most importantly, though, I wanted to share, I don't have 7 grandchildren here in the district, but I have 1. Out of the 3 kids, 1 has decided to live here in the Silver Falls School District. And my granddaughter attends, she's a 3rd grader out at Central House School. And so that's been quite a pleasure to watch her, to attend her soccer games and those kinds of events. Also, I taught, I'm going to go into my career now a little bit, 13 years as an agricultural FFA advisor, teacher at high school level, 30 years as a school administrator. 11 years of that I was at Kennedy High School for 4 years, and then 7 years down at Scioto High School as the high school principal.
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but you're just over on time a little bit. I just want to keep it fair for everyone. We have
Yeah.
another question that may
Yeah.
precipitate that response.
That'd be fine.
Thank you, Derek. How will you balance the needs of different groups within the district, such as students, parents, teachers, and taxpayers?
Well, you've heard it from several candidates tonight that it's a challenge to work with the vast group of people that we have. But I would say that it's important to keep the focus on the young people. It's in the tagline that we thrive, students will thrive in Silver Falls School District. And so we want to work on a system where the students are thriving, where they're growing academically, where they're having the best educational experience they can have. And if we keep the focus and that center of attention on that, then, and we do our best to be transparent and meet the needs of our kids, parents are going to be happy, taxpayers are going to know that we're providing the best education here. And again, we can only do that with providing a great environment for our teachers. And you've already heard it from a couple candidates tonight, low class sizes and those kinds of events. But I would, as a board member, we also are in charge of the budget and making sure that we're salary-wise, we're in the market, the right marketplace with our teachers and our administrators. So do a comparison on where does Silver Falls fit in to like-sized school districts, and so making sure that we're meeting their needs. I believe it's important to attend school districts and schools. When I was in the district years ago, I had a couple of board members that intermittently would visit my school, and I think that's important. Attend events as well. Thank you.
Okay. A well-rounded board represents our whole community with a variety of perspectives from across our diverse community. What unique perspectives will you bring to the board?
Well, I didn't grow up here in Silverton, but it seems like I've been here a long time. 96, we were, like I said, I was working with a 5-member board out at Victor Point to begin to work on the consolidation. And so we work closely with the administrators in town and and then the board out there. And so I was kind of like the liaison between the two. And so I bring that perspective, working with the farmers, the K-8 schools, and bringing the group the historical information about bringing that small district in with the larger school district. Also, 43 years of being in public school education, and my final 8 years of being a superintendent, working with a 5-member board, I have that perspective as well.
Okay. What are some specific goals that you may have for our district if appointed?
Well, I think it's important that we continue to provide a high-quality education for all our students at all grade levels. And so in order to do that, like I said, we have to be paying our staff accordingly so that they're providing the top quality work that they're going to provide in the facilities that they work in the district. Also, there's different programs. We want to make sure that we are, like the reading program, phonics program, things like that. We're getting our kids ready. They can read at 3rd grade. Are they on target to graduate by 9th grade? And then look at our graduation percentage. Academic growth also, we need to look at that and make sure that kids are being assessed. Not necessarily the state test, but look at a national norm test. We used to use the Northwest Regional testing in the Harrisburg School District where I last worked, and it provided a growth continuum that we could watch and we could see kids growing. And so I think it's important that we communicate that to the parents as well when they're growing. Facility needs in the district, I think it's important we continue to look at that. Do I have all the answers? No. But I appreciate the opportunity to apply and be a part, hopefully someday maybe, of one of the members of a 7-member board. We can put all our heads together and figure these things out. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Board members, our high school students representatives have arrived a few minutes ago. Would you be fine with hearing them before we take a vote? Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, come on up, student reps.
Maybe we can ask them what they think.
No, I don't think we can do that. Nice try, Daniel.
I can do what I want.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
My name's Adeline Kinsey, and I'm a senior at Silverton High School, and I'm one of the ASB school board reps.
My name is JJ Brown, and I'm a senior and the other ASB school board representative.
We would like to inform you about the things going on at the high school. This week is homecoming week, and we are really excited for that. Starting off with our HOCO event, and then our annual homecoming parade and future Fox Fair, and to end the night, our homecoming football game. We love to have as much as the community present at all of our events.
Now for some specifics. Homecoming open house is taking place throughout Silverton High School from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We will have all the hallways open to the community, and we would love to see you all there. There will also be a school board sponsored barbecue free for all community members. We will have fun activities throughout the entire school, and we would love to thank our community for all their support these past few months by bringing our alumni back into the halls.
On Friday, we'll have our annual homecoming parade, which starts in Coolidge McLean Park at 4 p.m. and ends in the school district parking lot. We're hoping to have the streets packed as we have our floats from most of our schools in the district, our fall athletic programs, and our HOCO court and class floats. And we also would love to enjoy our alumni float.
After this parade, we'll have our future Fox Fair open to all K-5 students, in the middle school gym from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. We will then have our FFA tailgate barbecue that will set up a special alumni tent. $5 for a hot dog, chips, cookie, and a drink. All are welcome to this event, and we are really looking forward to having the community come support FFA and each other at our first annual homecoming tailgate. Following that will be the homecoming football game. Kickoff is 7 p.m. The theme is school spirit, and homecoming court winners will be announced at halftime, along with our float winners from our parade. We will have special alumni homecoming court members there to crown the winners at halftime.
Now we would like to announce our 2025 homecoming court members. For the freshman class, we have Ashton Wentworth and Javi Rivera. For the sophomores, we have Jory Emmer and Nate Traeger. And for the juniors, we have Layla Powell and Lillian Knudsen. And then for the seniors, we have Sam Postgate, Annabelle Bruckner, Kate Alger, Susie Arango, Mia Zepeda, Logan Axmaker, Kylie Howell, and Logan Udo. We are so excited to have these amazing individuals on our homecoming court.
Now transitioning to club information and news. They are starting off the year very strong. We had our annual SHS Student Club Fair where all students got to see and sign up for all the SHS clubs we offer. A goal for our school this year is to find ways to incorporate clubs more into what we do at Silverton High School. We're excited to see what we can accomplish this year.
Our fall sports are also in full swing with volleyball, football, soccer, and cross country starting off their season strong. Football is currently leading an undefeated season and is top ranked in the OSAA 5A. Our girls soccer team is also having an undefeated league record and are ranked top 3 in the OSAA 5A. They will play at home on Tuesday versus Lebanon. Boys soccer are having a strong season, ranked number 9 in OSAA rankings, and their next home game will be Thursday versus Central.
The volleyball team is looking to continue with the second half of the season push and won their last 3 games. They'll play 1 game this next week on Thursday at Crescent Valley. Our cross-country teams are also very successful and are having an outstanding season on both the girls' and boys' side. Their next meet will be districts on October 30th. Overall, our fall sports are having a phenomenal season, and we are looking forward to seeing more fun from our teams.
The theater department just had auditions for their fall play. They're excited for their production called Our Town. It is a play that covers life in a small rural town for more than 70 years. Opening night of the play will be November 14th.
We would also love to congratulate our Skills USA national competitors. In national welding fabrication, our champions who have all graduated are Matthew Billenberg, Nathan Detweiler, and Carter Lands.
In firefighting, we have Nathaniel Lofton, who took 5th place, and in computer programming, John St. Clair took 9th place.
In Health Knowledge Bowl, the team took 11th place. These members also graduated and are Jocelyn Crespo Hernandez, Kasaya Hart, Bentley Pack, and Natalia Vasquez Trejo.
For Career Pathways Human Services, they took 13th place, and that team consisted of Addie Fergus, Lily Peterson, and Sophie Sadaka.
Our crime scene investigation team took 22nd place, and that was Azucena Arango, Riley Heron, and Sam Postgate. We are so proud of all our students who continue to represent not only Silverton High School, but Silverton itself in the best way possible.
We are looking forward to updating you throughout the year, and we can't wait to see what this school year has in store for us. Thank you for your time, and go Foxes.
Thank you. Okay, board. Thoughts to share here with ourselves concerning our candidates?
I can open. Just want to thank everybody for taking the time and being willing to put yourself out there. It was a little bit of an awkward interview process if you weren't aware to come up here. And so appreciate everyone, again, taking the time and putting the potential commitment in. So thank you for all of our applicants to start.
I'll double off of that. The candidates were incredible. So we feel incredibly blessed. And it's, to be fair, like, this is not something that I'm looking forward to. Small town and everything. But thank you for putting your guys' name in the hat. And it could be a little nerve-wracking, but thank you so much. I feel very blessed that we have such great people to put their names in.
This definitely is a awkward and interesting function to sit here and then have to publicly discuss what we think of you guys. So obviously, whatever comment is based on a very limited knowledge of reviewing your information submitted in the application and the answers from your question. This is a difficult task for us to make a choice. I don't think we could go really wrong, but we have to try to make what we feel is the best. So please, don't try to slash my tires. Yes, I know.
I too, I was pleased when I first heard how many, that we had so many that applied and that we have so many good candidates. Both were very encouraging. And so that is, it's nice to know that there's that many people out there that are willing to share their gifts with us and be part of this.
Yes.
Does anyone have any thoughts on a candidate or candidates? Let's narrow us down, or we could go right to question.
And when you say question, are we allowed to ask additional question or just
No.
between us?
No, just between us.
All right. This is strange.
Nowhere else would we be doing this.
No.
The only place we could do it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to break the awkwardness and maybe start us off. I think all the applicants that applied brought something to the table. Your answers were, you put thought into it. For me, one that really spoke to me just with the application, your response today, and I'm going to try and pronounce his name correctly, but Kashwana Nall, just your experience that you articulated, I think really would lend for our board. I think you bring a lot of value. Again, it's an awkward situation, I think all the applicants, but just reviewing your application, hearing your responses today, I think you're a strong applicant, and I would put her name forward for consideration.
I completely 100% agree with you.
I would say Brian Starr has very, very deep knowledge of the district and how things are supposed to work and had a clear focus on where we need to be going.
So to me, it was pretty close, and there was not, I try to make myself a scale from 1 to 10 in the scores, and there was not a big difference, but I agree with you on Ms. Knoll. To me, her clear focus on student first, that she has the local experience. She also has the teaching admin side to her. It appears that she, at least me personally, she understands that it's student first, fiscal responsibility, and I appreciated that. But again, it was not it's not like it's 100 to 0. It's close.
Yeah, I was pleased with a lot of answers. Some people, when it came to our questions here, some of them answered what was asked. Some kind of danced around it. That made it a little more difficult. I felt Kashwana was spot on. I'm not necessarily agreeing with every answer, but her answers were to the point of what was being asked, which I appreciated, and the well-roundedness of everything, the background and everything. And she would be my number 1 at this point.
I think to add to that, what I appreciate about her is she actually attended a school in Zone 7, as did her children. So I think she really represents that zone and the fact she's been there.
Jaguar for life. Josh?
My top 2 would be, Brian and Miss Knoll. But that's not to say that I don't like any of the others. This is a bit like going to homecoming and somebody asks you to do a dance, and you're like, yeah, and I want to go with you. And then you have to say, No, so, yeah, I hate this. I think that somebody like had made the assumption that we had planned it this way. I could not state that more clear, that this is not what I wanted to do. Did not sign up for this.
That's how the law's written, sorry.
I know. Say, you're gonna have a long talk with Tom.
The reasons why, I guess, for the reason I just thought about those two was the experience into administration and academics, and mostly, I mean, for Miss Knoll, I said she knows her stuff, but I said the other word. And then Mr. Starr, just his experience also in the districts and the administration at a high level superintendency, which also brings a level of professionalism that I honestly don't have, so. I wrote something inappropriate words over here, Mr. Cote.
Are those notes discoverable for public
Yeah.
knowledge?
Any further discussion, or ready for a vote, or? Okay, the procedure will be, and I'll let Debbie figure out who she asked first. Maybe she's already done that, but she'll call each one of us and we give the name of who it was. And we'll do that on a round, and if somebody gets 4 or more votes, then that person is who will eventually be appointing. If it's no one gets 4, then we'll do a second round. We can have some more discussion if you want, etc.
If nobody gets 4, do we narrow it down to the ones that we just voted on?
We could do that. It's our call. It's our call.
It's a way to narrow it down.
We could do that if you
Yeah,
like.
definitely,
Yeah.
if we end up with
Yep.
3, 2,
Yep,
and,
yep.
and 1.
Yep.
So just to clarify, Debbie's going to call all names that were,
She'll call each of us, and
then
we'll
we
give a
vote.
name
Got
of
it.
the candidate that
You want to
we're
move forward.
voting
Okay.
for.
Yeah.
Okay,
just
is
gonna
it
start
clear
at
with
this.
everybody? Okay.
I'm going to start at this end of the table. Wally?
Brian Starr.
Daniel?
Miss Knoll.
Phil?
Kashana.
Derek?
Miss Knoll.
Sarah?
Miss Knoll.
And Josh.
Miss Knoll.
We have 1 for Brian Starr and 5 for Kashana Knoll.
Okay, then Kashana.
Congratulations.
Knoll, you're our new board member, and we will swear you in at the workshop on the 27th? October 27th at 6:30. Okay? Congratulations, and thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Two
for.
gentlemen that served in the military, thank you for your service.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, thank you. Okay.
I will say this one was much more painless than the last one I did like this years ago.
I can't
So this is
imagine.
good.
This was minor.
I've had doctor and dentist appointments I'd rather go to. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Moving on, Silver Falls Education Association. You have, come on down.
We want to play musical chairs first. Yeah, it's a game. All right, happy October.
Yes.
We want to thank all the applicants who did apply for the open board position. It was terrific to hear your responses to your questions and the thoughtful conversations that were had. I will not deny that it was also super awkward to sit and listen to. I'm so sorry. But the transparency is really crucial and critical to our district and the process. So congratulations to our new board member. We look forward to working with you and getting to know you. And a thank you for all of you for your willingness to step up and serve to our students and our staff. It is a thankless job at times, especially the last couple of years in this district. And it is not for the faint of heart. So thank you for stepping up to the plate there, all of you. It is also, October is National Principal Month, so while all of our principals are hiding in the back there, we wanted to take the opportunity to thank them and thank them for their unwavering commitment to our students and supporting your educators day in and day out. We see you in our schools, and your leadership would not be the same, and our buildings would not be the same without you. Thank you for being awesome. Those of you that are in new buildings and new district, or new to the district this year, thank you for jumping in headfirst to your new roles. We really appreciate you as well. So while our students had a 4-day weekend, teachers spent Friday and Monday collaborating with colleagues, reviewing curriculum, and reviewing data. Friday was statewide in-service day for teachers all across Oregon. So it's the one day a year that we all get to meet up with teachers in other school districts across the state to collaborate. Our music teachers got to go to just a music teacher conference and work with other music teachers that day. We had a science teacher go to Newport and do actual science hands-on learning over in Newport with other science teachers across the state as well. And then we also had a whole bunch of other teachers attending various PD in the district here. New curriculum for our elementary friends. And I was actually able to meet for the first time in my 8 years here with all of the middle school social studies teachers. We were all in the same room at the same time. Never happened before. It was great. And then today was our second of 3 professional development days. Some work that was started with those of us in the district on Friday, we continued with it today. And our final PD day isn't until the beginning of February. So that work will kind of take a pause now until then. This new calendar makes it challenging to maintain consistent time for collaborating with colleagues and discussing student needs. At the secondary level, especially for the high school, it becomes challenging to align curriculum within departments without sacrificing outside of our contract time. And we have staff that's coaching or other commitments, so it makes it all the more challenging. We know that the 2-hour early release is on the agenda tonight, so we are very intrigued to hear the discussion around that this evening. Yes.
I would say she talked about the secondary. At elementary level, it's incredibly difficult to have a new curriculum, and we don't have that early release time that we had last year to actually align to each other, talk with our teammates, unless we're doing it many times during our prep, which we're also trying to get ready to teach students all day, or we're doing it outside of our contract area. So it has been a challenging start to kind of dive in and be like, what are we doing? How are we doing it? How's it going for you? Oftentimes it's during my lunch that I meet with my coworker, so I don't really get a lunch.
And then coming up this week, we have, SFEA has our first forum meeting. We alternate these every month. And it's the time when we have a representative from each building with SFEA members come and meet with the district leadership team. We are there as exec team members listening, but it's the time that individual members in the buildings get to come and speak with the district leadership team and directly to speak about their concerns and possible solutions. And it's a really awesome opportunity that we get to have in this district. It allows for some district-wide issue discussion and brainstorming. And it also helps to build a relationship with our licensed staff directly with our district leadership team too. So we are looking forward to that later this week. And otherwise, we'll keep on trekking. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, is it okay, since it's on something later, I'd like to ask him a question, if that's okay?
Sure.
Early release.
Yes.
You guys, this is something you guys want, yes? Feedback?
Yes.
Okay.
On the whole, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted direct feedback, since it affects, as it affects you guys,
Yes.
I just want
Yes.
to know
Yeah.
what my decision is gonna do.
There are varying degrees of value at every grade level and every department to have that time and collaboration.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, as long as we're there.
We'll do a
I
temporal.
just needed an opportunity here.
Sorry, I opened the can of
So
worms.
I'm not a teacher. I think teachers are saints, and I'm not one of them. But I need to understand the concept. So the early race is 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. So is this because a lot of times when I do business, it takes me an hour just to get going, right? So 2 hours to me appears too short. Is there a different format that we could also look at? Maybe that would be, or is the 2 hours great since you're already there, it's early release, it's after lunch, and then you can just congregate because it's the time where you just do kind of small meetings?
We would love to start there. That larger conversation would be part of our contract negotiations that come up.
Okay. But the 2 hours for what you guys use for it is
There are tasks that we do.
It's a productive 2 hours is I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, there are tasks that we can easily do within
And I would
the
say
2
like
hours.
at the high school at least, it gives like, so for me, I've taught something new every year that I've been at the high school. So it is really valuable to be able to talk to colleagues who've been teaching whatever I'm teaching for a long period of time. And that 2 hours is pretty perfect for that. As just like a check-in to see like, okay, what are we doing now, like next week? Yeah.
We had
I think the 2 hours is also very intriguing versus the 1 hour,
Yes.
especially for schools that don't have teams. So if they want to be able to travel to meet with other people, doing that in an hour is
really
very,
hard.
I mean, it's impossible to do that
Yeah.
and have time. So the 2 hours is a really intriguing idea.
I'll jump in here. I have talked to some KA teachers from, I think, 3 different schools. And they all prefer the all day simply because, like you were saying, it takes, by the time they do get on Zoom and talk to their counterpart, they've lost much of their time. So I think we need to do both.
Okay.
And I think it varies where you're at in your departments and all of that, and that's the hard thing, is trying to put everybody into that one category. And it really does depend on what you teach and what you do and all of that.
And where you're at.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. First of all, is there anybody present wanting to give public comment? Is there anyone online raising their hand on the feature there to give public comment?
Recording in progress.
Okay, thank you. Okay, administrative and staff reports, and Kim, you are up with integrated planning annual report.
Yeah, so typically I would give you guys a longer report this evening, but I'm trying to keep it short because of our interviews, and I knew that was gonna take some time. So my regular superintendent's report about all the training and all the cool stuff we've been doing, that'll be on the October 27th meeting. I do want to give a shout out to all our principals that are in the room tonight. Hi, friends. It's so good to see them. It is Principals Month, and I will have a longer report about all the cool things they've been doing in buildings towards the end of the month. But, you know, the work we do in buildings would not happen without our fabulous leaders that are, you know, tirelessly advocating for kids and families. And we have really high-quality administrators in our district, and it's really a pleasure to watch them work. So I'm really thankful for them.
So they get to come to a board meeting tonight.
Well, yeah, thanks, Wally, for pointing that out. It's super helpful. I have, as an administrator, I've always been required to attend board meetings, and I think it's an important part of our process as we grow together for them to come into a board meeting once a month and sit with us and kind of hear our process, especially as we get closer to budget. And I just, I've always learned a lot of things from being in the room when the board is discussing with the superintendent, and I think, and with the other district leaders. I think that I just want them to have the best information to understand it as good as possible as we move into what could be a challenging budget season, not just for Silver Falls, but for the entire state. So, you know, we're just seeing some rumblings, and I have an email that's going to go out to everyone this evening. And I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to steal Tom's thunder. But I will say I think it's important for them to be in the room and kind of listen to what we're doing sometimes.
So
I'm just kidding. I agree.
It's okay, Wally.
Hey, Kim.
I want to thank you all for being here, and also want to recognize you for Principals Month and the job you do, and what a great job you do for our district. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Kim, so I don't get myself in trouble.
Yes, John.
You know how I like to ask questions.
I know you do.
You put them in the room, so normally if I ever want to ask a question of them, since they're in there, do you think that'd be appropriate or not appropriate? Because
Oh, you
it's
mean like when
your
we're talking
call.
about different things? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I think, like, as an audience member, as a principal, before I've gone like this, like, and have the superintendent call on me, because sometimes they have information, that is really helpful. Like if your SFEA group hadn't talked about 2-hour release, I definitely was gonna call on some of them to help me explain it to you, because like my perspective is one thing, but I work for them. They are my teachers, and so yes, I think that is an appropriate thing sometimes if you have a question about something. And like the website question earlier, why the website isn't updated, that's because the whole website's being redone. And so we've held off on updating test scores and stuff. Kelly's only got a couple weeks left. She's our 1 day a week Willamette ESD friend that helps with that kind of stuff. And so Kelly Scott's been working tirelessly on updating the website, and it is really gonna be beautiful. But if she loads things now, then she gets to load them again in 2 weeks. And so I just told her to hold off, because we don't have the luxury of wasting anyone's time around here. So that is why that if you see things that are not quite updated on there, that's because we're doing a complete shift in November. So
We're good. Okay.
yeah, I just wanted to explain it so you didn't think I was like hiding the test results. I'm not. They're all there. Anyway, okay, so we're going to talk about the integrated plan. So the integrated plan is a huge grant system through ODE, and it requires us to report to you yearly on our progress. And so I'm going to go through this real quick. So our objectives, we're trying to share our reflection of our annual progress through the integrated plan, which it includes the student investment account, high school success, and early literacy, plus some other little accounts, but those are the big 3 accounts. This plan requires us to analyze longitudinal data so that we can inform future decisions and adjustments to the plan in the next cycle. And that longitudinal data is really important to track because it tells us our achievement and our growth over time. It also helps us prioritize a student-centered plan that increases student achievement. And so students should be at the center of everything we do. And if we think about it that way and we're really intentional about it, it will be that way. So these are the 9 federal and state grants that are included in the integrated plan. And so that student investment account, high school success, Everyday Matters is an attendance program in there, but the ESD does that. Continuous improvement planning is part of the integrated plan, and so forth. And so those are some of the areas that it touches on. But once again, high school success, the student investment account, and early literacy are the main 3 that we focus on. So ODE requires us to do this report that I've done in a couple of different ways. And so they've got 2 narrative questions that they ask us, and then they want us to track our expenditures. So, we say we're going to spend a certain amount on FTE or materials or whatever. So for instance, we have $100,000 in our high school success account that is for supplies and materials for our CTE teachers. And so that's really important that, we not go spend it on some other thing. Like that's part of our plan, part of our process, and so we try and stick to that. They also have progress markers. I will tell you that our progress markers are mostly like, there's a couple that went up, but they're mostly kind of the same, medium level. And I can send you that full report if you want it. So these are some of the areas that are the performance measures. So like again, longitudinal growth over time. So like 3rd grade reading, 8th grade math, graduation rate, 4-year cohort, 5-year cohort completion rate, 9th grade on track. Those are all things that ODE wants us to look at. Plus we use a lot of other local measures. So like, how many completers do we have in CTE? How many kids, do we get to do credit recovery during summer? So there's a lot of other measures that we look at when we're trying to make sure that our students are served well by the plan. So that's just more about the requirements. We review our own progress on an annual basis. We present it to the board in an open meeting, and then we provide minutes to ODE. And we talk about those longitudinal goals and local metrics. So the first question that, and I mean, I could talk about a lot of things on here, and they're just wanting a snapshot of some of the things we're doing. So I talked about our 9th grade on track data because our 9th grade on track is really strong. It's about 94%. And that really is a direct correlation to your students who will graduate in your system. It is definitely an indicator. It's probably the highest indicator. And when kids come into the high school team does a great job doing some transition programs during the summer, really teaching kids about what it is to be a Fox. They have a lot of counseling support, and I think our high school just does a really good job getting kids ready to be successful that 9th grade year. And so kids, to be on track, they have to have 6 credits, which is a 4th of their credit. And it can't be 6 credits of elective. It has to be a credit of English, a credit of math, so they have to have those core classes included. And so we have maintained that high level for a great deal of time. Questions on that narrative?
Yeah, actually I do. So my experience is more upper education.
Yeah.
And so in graduate programs, especially in healthcare, the biggest attrition is the freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
How does that track with high school? Where do you lose typically your largest amount of students?
You might, like if they're gonna drop out?
Attrition, meaning like you start
Yeah.
the year with 300 and what do you finish with? And how many of those just don't graduate, right?
Yeah, well,
Where's
we have
your
a
attrition?
small number that don't graduate, so it's less than 10%.
Yeah.
And then, our 5th year completer rate is much higher than that, so we recapture some of them after they don't quite get across the finish line, because there are times, and I could pull that data for you exactly, Daniel, but if you're not successful your freshman year, you probably don't drop out initially, but you just don't make great progress, and so if you're stalling in that year, it causes you significant issues.
So I definitely would appreciate it, because this is, all the graphs, and understand this is a summary, okay?
It is just a
But
brief
I'm
summary.
definitely interested in following on the longitudinal performance, like especially I'd love to see what we're starting to see after really about 3.5 years of the side effect of the COVID isolation. Right, from the kindergartners that were supposed to start to the junior high schoolers that saw it all go away or whatever, that are still now in the system and are now graduating. I'd love to see that, and obviously not necessarily on the meeting item, but if you can feed me that information,
you could come in and I could show you some of the places that we look for those different things, and I think, we did have a definite impact from COVID. It infected our enrollment, and I think just it fractured our community a little bit, and I think we're doing a good job trying to rebuild that, and, bringing everyone into the fold so that everyone can be successful here. And I think that, there's a variety of data. I could show you all kinds of things. But I'll send you some of our ODE longitudinal data so you can see it.
send me anything you want. I
okay.
enjoy it. And if I have questions, I'm happy to give you a call.
I can make you a little data pack. Is that what, does everyone want the same data pack?
I like data.
Anybody else has a
Anybody else want it?
I'll take it if you got it.
Okay, I'll put it together, no
Thank
problem.
you. I mean, no rush on all the free time you have,
Yes. No comment. We got through the professional development day and everyone's still alive, so I figure I can breathe again now. Okay, so let's go to the next one here. So I am a passionate believer in attendance, and really intentionally looking at attendance. And I sent you guys an email recently about some of the changes that the high school team has done that have been so powerful in helping kids be more regular attenders, and they've decreased the tardies by about 75%.
That leads to graduation.
It does have an impact on graduation, and I think that the kids are feeling that it's something they need to pay attention to. And so we're paying a lot of attention right now to attendance, because we actually saw a drop in the district last year of about 1%. When you look at our attendance data through ODE, and a regular attender in ODE's system is they attend more than 90% of the time. So you can't just say, well, I came 4 out of 5 days, that won't cut it. So you can only miss, in our system, about 17 days a year, and then you're not considered a regular attender. So we noticed that our 11th and 12th grade, like, we review data all the time, and we've been looking at attendance, and in fact, we will look at attendance again at our admin meeting on November 11th, because we'll pull 2 months of data and we'll look at it again. But just trying to see, you know, and reaching out to individual students. And so I wrote an attendance manual, and Kevin's been rejuvenating the attendance team. They've been going to Willamette ESD, to the cohort meetings. And so those things are really, really important, that we have an intentional focus on attendance, because it did slip a little bit. And so that is a barrier, a challenge for us. It's not just us that has that challenge. It's a statewide challenge. There's actually a nationwide challenge. But it is really, really essential to kids being able to read, to be able to do math. And so, you know, if a kindergarten kid in Aaron's class misses the day where Aaron goes over the letter T, which was recently, that's a problem. Aaron has to redo that student. And so just trying to get all of those kiddos in the door and get our parents on board to help us. And so there'll be some intentional, you know, marketing out to parents from the district office as well.
What's the reasoning behind that?
Behind what?
Behind kids not coming to school.
I think, well, one of the reasons that I know is for real is that during COVID, OHA changed the exclusion guidance for families. And so if you had the tiniest sniffle during the COVID era, we're like, oh, stay home, because, you know, you might give somebody COVID. I mean, so that guidance has all changed. And so OHA's exclusion guidance is kind of back to its normal. But during COVID, we kind of conditioned people to not come if they didn't feel well at all.
Okay.
And now we're kind of back to like, hey, that's probably a cold, you're probably fine. If you have a temperature, don't come in. So we've done some really intentional, you know, informational stuff home to parents so that they understand kind of what the reestablished parameters are. And I think that also sometimes anxiety, mental health issues, there's a lot of reasons why kids don't attend at school. And so really reaching into our student population and making sure they have what they need to feel comfortable and welcome, and that they belong in our setting is really important.
Okay, we heard a couple applicants tonight talk about preparing for life, and this is preparing for life. If you're only showing up for your job 4 out of 5 days a week, it's probably not gonna last long.
Yeah, right. If I don't show up to the board meeting tonight, that's probably, and then you can tell I'm having a hard time talking right now. My voice is going. So, I mean, that might be a bonus. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, I think,
so, yeah, that was narrative number 2. Any questions on that?
I was just a comment. I think Wally has a good point. I think if we don't understand the root causes, and there's probably multiple, then it's hard to develop a strategy to, you know, fix it. So I'm sure there's multiple reasons that we see attendance drops. Probably just not one isolated reason. So there's probably multiple, and like I said, kind of the more thoughtful and better that we can understand it to support families to get kids to school.
Yeah, and sometimes families have barriers, and so when we're having counselors and principals and teachers talk to families and they say, well, we don't have any gas money, or, you know, we're having this issue, or we're getting evicted, or, you know, we help families with all kinds of barriers to attendance and issues that they're having, because we want them to come to school. We want their kids in our building, and we want to do what we can to help them make that possible. And so, you know, there's a lot of outreach that goes out when we're trying to reach families like that. So that's going to be a big focus this year. This is an example of the progress markers, and I'll send you guys this in your data dive so you can see all of them. I mean, they basically are just kind of the same. There's a couple that have increased, but for the most part, we're kind of in the medium category with no substantial change from what I could see. Any other questions on that?
Yeah, how much time does that take to come up with all that? State requires it, right?
The state requires this. Yeah, the state actually gives us a template. When I looked at one of my slides up there, I noticed they had a typo. I should have copied and pasted. Shouldn't have done that. Yeah, I mean, the state, this is a requirement for the state. It takes several hours to fill out the reporting required for all these things. So we're working on early literacy. Like for the early literacy report, they want to know how we spent their funds, and like the majority of our early literacy funds are spent on staffing that, you know, goes into classrooms and works with reading groups and that type of thing. And that's called high dosage tutoring in ODE's, you know, plan for early literacy. And so we have to go in and we have to identify each student and their focal group or their race identity and whether they made progress or not on DIBELS or some other similar exam. We're using DIBELS this year. And so, I mean, we have to go through 1,700 kids and determine what their progress was. Well, it's not 17, that was part of the, there's some K-8, 6 or 8 kids in that group, but yeah, they want to know. And they don't want to, even though the early literacy grant is for K3, they want the data K5. And I'm like, you didn't give us any money really for 4 or 5. It was like this tiny amount of money, but they still want the data on 4 or 5. So it's a lot. Like I could show you, we put together like some different things for teachers at that professional development on Friday and Monday. And just like the resource tabs that we gave the teachers for all that with the standards and the early literacy document and all of the required things that they're supposed to attend to, including their standards and all that, that is really, it is quite a process for our staff. So they did an excellent job navigating. They took some of the work they'd done previously with their projection maps, and they actually filled in some different gaps and some different things that they didn't have time to finish. So that was kind of cool. They got
I think it was more for me just rhetorical, because I think you guys could be doing a lot of other better things. And you guys' time is so short, principals' time short. I'd rather, you know, I'm just frustrated that the state makes us do so much.
Your comment 4 or 5 kind of intrigues me. Is there a feedback mechanism that you can challenge it or say, hey, this doesn't make sense? Can you?
Yeah, I give so much feedback. Like I'm really vocal about stuff, and like I just texted the governor's education liaison the other day, and I said, hey, if you guys don't fix the state school, you cannot take state school fund away from us. Like we cannot function with less state school fund. Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, it's rough over here. You know, so like we're having, I am very vocal about these types of conversations and what we need, but a lot of times it's above my, you know, pay grade, but we give a lot of feedback. I mean, I think superintendents gave a ton of feedback about having another growth measure besides the OSAS exam, which is the end of the year exam that kids take, because many of them are opting out of it. Like, you know, if you look at our participation rate, I'll send that data to you. It's not great, especially in the high school, because kids, they don't see the value of taking the test. We used to require the high school test to satisfy essential skills, but then during COVID, they took away essential skills because there was no way to test everybody. And so it's like this big conundrum in this thing. And so we asked for an alternate growth measure to show student growth over time. And so, you know, ODE is putting in a new accountability measure, which gives us the option to use an alternate growth measure besides just OSAS. So, and they'll have that information out in January. But yes, lots of feedback.
I appreciate that you give them a lot of feedback.
I do. I try to be kind with it, but it's frustrating feedback sometimes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And now you're on again.
Oh, I think this is Tom, Finance and Enrollment.
No, SIA.
Or
that's what I just did.
Your report on.
Yeah, it's okay. It's what I just did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
same thing.
Okay. So Tom, Finance and Enrollment report.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh, no.
There you go.
Daniel.
You're up.
Like last month, a new exciting topic that I'm becoming a master of is enrollment. We are currently still having some really great news, so I'm happy to share one of 2 really positive things that are celebrating. Our enrollment numbers have increased since September 4th. We're at about 3640, so we've added 12 students in the last month. That's actually a couple students more than the same time last year, which is great.
That is exciting, actually.
We ended last year at 3606, so there are, of course, drops that will occur as the natural part of the year. We're just hoping that that'll be a small number, and that will also help us in terms of the formula, in terms of state support for those added students. In spring, I believe, is when they true that up, so that's hopefully good news. The biggest movers really are Mark Twain added 8 students, and of course the high school lost 9 students last month. But 3640, that's great. More good news. Just kind of on the first quarter. And of course, the first quarter is only about 13% of our budget. That's because there's only 1 month of normal payroll. Most people aren't working in July and August. So this is a very low weighted, if you do a forecast, it's more like to exercise the muscles and put the things together, but it's nothing to really build a future number on. But if you look at the comparison to previous years, we're just about the same as last year, right around 13% of the budget being spent. In terms of revenues, we've received about 25.1%. Last year we were at 24.4. Really the numbers are kind of the same. There's often differences in timing when you receive things, so there's negligible difference. What matters are there any kind of fires or areas of concerns, and there aren't at this time. Let's see, I got 2 computers here running. First quarter expenditures are slightly more than the same time last year, 12.9% versus 12% there in the middle. But again, that's really timing. For example, we had our SAFE insurance payment, I think it's about $360,000 we made in September. Last year we made that at the end of November. So if that's put in the first quarter, that makes it look like if you take that out, they're basically the same numbers. So again, there's no fire or anything that looks really much different than last year. And there at the bottom, you can see if you took that projection based on this 13% of the budget that's been utilized so far, you would see a net gain of $885,000. So if our budget ended up around 3.1, that puts us right about $4 million. But again, caution, this is just the first quarter, so we're very hopeful, and this number could be much more at the second quarter, et cetera. We'll see how things happen in terms of the steering of the budget. That is the fun news for the evening. A couple things I do want to share that have come up recently.
Yeah.
And the first is on PERS. You know, a lot of this was forwarded to us by Carol Samuels and Jackie Olson from Waspo. It was kind of an FYI from the last PERS board meeting, kind of through the lens specifically for school districts. There is a kind of building confidence that there's going to be quite an increase in the next biennium. So this is beginning July 1, 2027. There's a couple reasons for that. There was Senate Bill 849, which provided school districts in Oregon a 1.68% rate credit. That'll expire this biennium. So we'll get that hit. We have 2 pension bonds. One expires in 2027. The pension bonds help keep our rates low by prepaying the unfunded actuarial liability. So we'll have a hit from that. What does this mean? We don't know because they're not going to have a evaluation until December. So I think in December they release a report, and then we'll kind of have a little clearer picture of what things might mean. If we're guessing right now, could be an overall increase of like 3 or 4% or even more. It could be $400,000 a year hit in terms of expenditures that we're going to have to face and figure out how to incorporate. So December will be kind of the next step in finding out more on that. The second is kind of what's going on with the budget in Oregon. 7 days ago, all CFOs and finance directors of all school districts were called into a meeting with the state and ODE. Of course, we all said yes. And they shared what has been in the news recently, which is back in September, the state of Oregon projected, of course, a revenue deficit, which was the big news from the previous economic forecast of negative $373 million. But ODE also shared a couple other things that are going on, kind of big picture. The impacts from H.R. 1, also known as the Big Beautiful Bill for the state of Oregon, are projected to be a negative $15 billion to the state over the next 6 years, a reduction of approximately 11% of the annual federal funding the state of Oregon receives. Now, a lot of this is kind of concentrated. The majority of the cuts will be in Medicaid, SNAP programs, potentially forcing Oregon to move budgets around to cover for these programs. So, and a lot of other direct impacts on special ed and meal programs. In addition, they shared, there are increasing signs of financial impacts due to the ongoing federal shutdown. The combination of all these various factors is creating kind of a cumulative sense of financial pressure for state agency budgets. And the governor's legislative office asked all state agencies to start budget reduction planning. For Oregon Department of Education, this includes scenarios and reductions of 2.5% and up to 5% for their main funds, including the state support fund. That could potentially, we don't know yet, but that could potentially occur this year. The impact for us would be about $2 million at the 5%. So the state agencies are required to kind of start putting these numbers and reports together, and we'll then forward them, I think, on November 17th. And then there's a review process, and I think the legislature then reviews it in January.
Did they discuss at all the economic climate for Oregon? I've been reading,
Yeah.
They have.
and I know some people as well, that the jobs are going away.
Yeah.
So, are you reading my
Oh, sorry.
one of my bullet points?
Send it to them.
Wow.
He's got great vision.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting FYI. And this wasn't shared necessarily by ODE, but they mentioned it too, especially all of us afterwards. The state's economic news also is increasingly pessimistic. The number of layoffs in the state in 2025 is the most in 20 years. More than 2008 and 2009, not including the pandemic, because that's not really a normal. There's a lot of worry about the probability of recession, mild or severe. And I think in general, in the state, that worry kind of far outweighs the view that, you know, things could grow or things could expand. So sorry to share not so good news after great news. If none of that happens,
Well,
we're doing pretty good.
it's
and
reality,
the budget looks
so.
pretty strong.
It is the reality of it, yeah.
So for me, Tom, then when I read that article a while ago, my first concern was, what's our liabilities basically on the books regarding our pension obligation bonds? And if the rates change and go up, planning for all of that to happen and not be caught off guard.
One option would be when the pension bond expires in 2027 to bring in a consultant and look at issuing another pension bond. But that's highly dependent on how interest rates are. And I've just been told in general, it's not a real rosy picture as far as interest rates. The benefit for issuing another pension bond may be quite small compared to the atmosphere that we first issued it in.
Yeah, when we were in COSA in July, was it June or July, when I was in COSA, we actually took a class on PERS rates and all that, and the side accounts, and they said the interest rate wasn't attractive enough to do it right now. It would not be, it was not a good move, so they said not to.
This is my last one, let my colleagues go. So from what I'm understanding is we know that there's pretty significant increase that could happen. You said $400,000, which was better than what I was thinking.
Well, yeah, and it's completely unknown.
But we
what it will
also,
be.
to my knowledge, have 2 contracts that we're supposed to start negotiating this year. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
And they're going to be wanting increases.
Correct.
And you just said we need to start decreasing. Is that correct? The state is recommending we cut 2.5%.
The state's not making any recommendations. They have
That was
asked all
ODE?
state agencies to prepare planning for how would you do it, you know, what would the scenario look like given their various funds at rates of, I think it's up to 5% at 2.5% intervals, so negative 2.5 and negative 5%.
And we actually have a superintendent's meeting tomorrow morning at 9 to talk about this further. So once I attend that meeting, I can probably send you guys some better, updated information anyway. ODE told us that they were instructed to plan reductions at 2.5% and 5%, what that would look like inside their budget.
And then were you extrapolating down? I heard there was like 2 million. Was that if ODE took a 2 to 5% hit and they pushed that all the way down to us, we'd be looking at,
It's kind of, yeah, I'm using a simple equation. We
Yeah.
get about 40 million from state support. So if that was cut 5%, that would be about a $2 million hit this
And
year.
the-
The biggest worry I have, just the worst case scenario.
Yeah,
Let's
I-
really make it, is if they do cut it, you don't get that restored necessarily.
yeah, I appreciate the worst case scenario. I think it's easier to go worst case scenario and work backwards. And then you said we should have better information on the 17th of November, is that?
17th of November, they are presenting their findings to
Okay.
Yeah, they're,
the governor. I don't know what the next step would be in terms of when that would be released in information.
Okay.
I think they said January. And then the short session for the legislature is in February. And so that's when the legislature will meet and talk about it. So it's gonna be later in the spring, a little bit, probably, March.
And the impacts from HR 1, the big, beautiful bill, a lot of those impacts are not really this biennium. There are some, but the real amount of it is the next biennium too. So if that happens, again, starting July 1, 2027, with other things, and as I shared, like in budget camp, the rising percentage of benefits in terms of the cost of the budget and other factors, inflation, like utilities and stuff, it's kind of this feeling of the vice in terms of
I think it's the iceberg that's out there, and I think if we rewind, a couple years back, this was kind of happening. There was an iceberg out there, and we're headed towards it. And I think now, obviously, different leadership, we're just being prudent, starting to plan, like, if we hit that, what are the strategies we can implement now to lessen the impact,
Yeah,
We need
2,
to
3 years from now.
continue our tight spending controls, and
We will.
our budget's not in a position to handle this storm yet.
No, and
Correct.
it's fun for me to really get into all of every single line of the budget, building a model, a 6-year model is what I'm building, and then allows you to do all the different scenarios. Although we don't really have control of the revenue, so you're kind of painting only a couple pictures, and then you're looking at what all your options are in terms of expenditures and what is most likely to happen, what is most likely to have the most effect. Because you might think a change, what if we did this, has a big effect, and then you look at it through the scenario, and it's very, very small.
And I think what's most important to me is that we prioritize, what is most important to kids in our district, and how do we maintain, when you go into classrooms, like, you go into Erin's classroom, she has 21 kindergarten kids, and a lot of them have high needs, and so how do we get ODE to understand that requires more money, not less? Like, reducing state school funding or not paying on high-cost disability to the full rate or reducing IDEA at the federal level is disastrous to school districts. And the students deserve better. And how do we get our legislators and other people to understand that this is a difficult scenario for all districts in the state, because we have already just reduced a bunch across the state. Like, Reynolds has a budget issue, Portland Public has $444 million with the budget deficit that they need to adjust to. So, like, we've been doing this work for years, and it's not sustainable over time, so.
Just side question. So I know you said you provide feedback to the governor's office, right? Is ODE providing any feedback? It's just my opinion here, but I think that the legislature has a priority dysfunction here regarding education. I looked at the budget just for our neighbors to the north. It's a significantly higher support from the state of Washington for the school district per student than ours.
Yeah,
Right?
that is true. Washington does have a higher per student amount. They go longer in the year. Yes, their students are benefited by better support, but they also have a sales tax. And so,
We all pay somewhere, and I
Yeah.
think at the end of the year, if you're making $20,000, I'm guessing, regardless of which state, Washington or here, between the sales tax or between the income tax, you probably come out fairly even on average. I think it's just a priority that they make. I think as legislators, they just are not prioritizing education, and they should. That's just my opinion.
I'd have to compare those two
Sadly
states
enough, we have
and
to suffer
see,
for that,
yeah.
but,
It's-
we're sitting here just suffering their choices.
I think ODE does provide a lot of feedback to the legislature, and they are presenting They regularly give testimony, and I think they are good advocates, but it's just that there's not enough resources to go around right now, so.
I think the information is helpful, and I think for us as board members, getting this back out to the community to start putting pressure on legislatures to, hey, you're gonna have to make some tough decisions here, but we have to prioritize education. So I think now is the time that, you know, as a community, really start putting pressure on our other electeds to make sure this is a priority.
Yeah, over the years, state of Oregon has added all kinds of new programs, and it just keeps spending and spending, and education takes a backseat at that point.
So Tom,
To me, I guess the revenue threshold is still going to be met, so they'll have a kicker next year. Here we are talking about.
We're talking about cuts in the school district, right? But I got a kicker last year, and now you're saying we'll get one again this year? I'm like,
It's because it's delayed.
Yeah, I don't need my kicker. I'd rather send it over to Mark Twain, thanks.
hey, Tom, I just want to say thank you for this. It makes me feel really good that we're on top of it.
I'm trying to get you the info really as soon as I have it.
And I'm also thankful for adding in the quarterly
Yes, those
revenues
quarterly
and expense. I
reports.
really appreciate that.
Oh, you bet.
I looked at it and it was fantastic. Is there, I'll talk to you later. It was great. Thank you for having
Send
me.
me any
I
questions.
agree.
Thank you. Yes, I really appreciate those quarterly reports on there, so that's good. Okay. Okay, first under discussion items, we have the 2-hour release.
So in your packet, you've got a document that I created that talks about the 2-hour release and what it would do for teachers. So I think you heard from SFEA earlier, but it increases time for grade level and content team meetings. PLC data analysis are done during early release frequently, and increased collaboration across the district, working with your colleagues. It helps our administrators. It gives them dedicated time to help facilitate meetings and trainings and attend IEP meetings and all kinds of other things. The classified unit, actually, we reached out to them and said, hey, would you benefit from having a once-a-month 2-hour release back into the system? And they said yes, because they use it all the time to meet with employees, to answer questions, and to, just help their employees better understand their working situations. And then the district office, we use this time to visit buildings, observe staff meetings, attend trainings, and meet with employees when there are no students in the building. Sometimes it's hard when you're trying to help someone, with an issue or a problem, or or you want to just see some data, look at data. It's nice to be able to go into buildings during that time when the students are out and about. And I know it is inconvenient to add it at this point for parents, but we would give them a long runway so that they know it's just once a month. Tony assures me that the minutes can handle it, so the required minutes through ODE, that we would be compliant still in ODE's requirements. And I think this is a larger discussion when we get into the spring when we're bargaining. I think this is, like Wally said, kind of a combination. So we've got those longer PD days that those guys clearly appreciated, but yet still the ability to come back together and say, hey, did you look at your data, for STAR? How are your kids doing? Like, do we need to screen someone for dibbles again? Like, just all those things. And we actually, like, every year we train for dibbles during an early release day. And Liz Limbert's like, how am I supposed to train, Kim? I don't have an early release. And I'm like, that's a great question. So I think our intentions were really good to provide those 3 days, because we did need those longer banks of time to do some of that training and to help our teachers with those new products. But I think it's time to add this back in once a month through the end of the year. Questions?
I guess my only question is to clarify, this is in addition to the full days, not in lieu of, in addition?
Yeah, there are days that they have one more day in February that would remain. And that day in February, we're already starting to plan. We're going to take some feedback from teachers about what they would like to learn. And, just really try and structure it so that it's something that suits everyone's needs.
So the risk reward here on this one. So Tony did the math. So we're doing once a month on an early release in addition to the 3 days. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Now, snow days. That's the risk reward. How does this take away all of our scheduled leeway for ice and snow?
Well, this is, so you've got November, December, January, February, March, April, May. You probably wouldn't do it in June. So it's 7 hours times 2. It's only 14 hours. And so
So that's 2 days.
it's about 2 days. Yeah. So
So we have, if by adding these in, we still have 2 days of leeway is what you're saying?
no, you have less leeway. You would have about 1 day of leeway. I
So if we have 3 snow days, and we got to add on, I've already heard from teachers like they don't want to come back. Not all of them, but like some are like, dude, we're done. I mean, most people adding those on at the end of the year is real tough.
For everybody.
It is. It is for.
It is.
So
tough.
like, what I want to know is do they want to the risk to hear of adding on at the end in case? Well, how does that work for Silvercrest?
Well, Silvercrest already like lengthened their days out. Like they did some tweaking. Like they took
Yeah.
some time from certain places and so that they can make their minutes when they had an extra couple snow days last year. I mean, I think snow days in this district are super fun to manage. Sarcasm. I'm getting ready to have Palmer help me again. I'm sure he loves that because he has the brunt of the early morning calls. But I mean, yeah, you might run the risk of having to make up a day.
But we could cancel an early release if it's that close.
Yeah, we could, Wally, you're
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, if we were cutting it a couple hours short or something and we needed to cancel one of those days at the end, we could. But I think the teachers would really benefit from adding it. And they understand the risk. So what happens is, once we have to take a snow day, then Tony recalculates to see, how much cushion we have. And then, if we don't have any cushion, we might have to make up a day.
Okay, that was my only one. I knew that we had obligations to hours, and I knew that we're losing some of our flexibility.
Yeah, and I think it was really important that, we've never done any training on Wonders, we've never done any training on iReady, and then we add 95% and UFly, those 2 support curriculums, and, we had a donor donate all that curricular material for 95%. I mean, it would be negligent not to train on it. And so they really needed some of those blocks of time. And we've used them really effectively. Like they've done a great job showing up at training. They've been very engaged and they're getting a lot of great information. And I think it will move the dial. I think it will help them move the dial.
But basically, if January comes and we realize that we're in trouble with hours, we can always revote and skip one. As if
Yeah,
we're
we could.
An hour
Yeah, we
and
could
45
adjust.
minutes short.
Yeah.
Yep.
True that. We could.
What's I realize 9-12 is different than K-8, but what's how many instructional hours are in a day, school day, for pick a grade?
Well, it depends on which building you're in. You have to do, it's 990 hours for high school.
For high school, it's
over the year.
900 for K-8, so but what I'm getting at is on a given day, a school day, pick a K-8 building, Mark Twain.
They're all different, Phil.
Let's go with Mark Twain. What's an instructional day?
6.5-ish hours, but it depends
Okay.
on the building. How long is the passing period? Like, does Brett have 6 minutes and the high school has 5?
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, 6.5.
No, I get that, but
Yeah,
I was just
okay.
wondering out of because we see beginning end times, but what's considered an instructional day is what I was getting at.
Yeah,
So-
and some parts of that day don't count when you're adding it all up.
Yeah, so we're, like you said, we're roughly talking 2 days. Here's my struggles. As an educator, I totally empathize with everybody here on your list as far as there's too much to do and too little time to do it. We keep adding on, we take nothing away. The state does that, I'm guessing we do it here. And it's tough on teachers when it is. I'm disappointed. There's 4 numbers here. There should be a 5th, and that's students. And I struggle with when I think our kids, this is my personal opinion, and I think a lot of people have this opinion, our kids we should be finding ways to fund increasing school years, having kids in school more. And we're talking taking 2 days away out of what we already figured out in the last calendar we were going to do. So I struggle with that. If we had the money, I'd say in a heartbeat, what we should do is pay our staff for those extra hours outside of contract, and just pay them, and so that kids are still getting as much in the classroom. So it's going to be a struggle for me to come up with a yay for me on this, and I just want to explain myself why. Because I find myself really torn, because I know what these teachers go through, of how much is asked from them, and how much time. And the state, every time they hand down, they want more reports, and that ultimately gets to the teacher having to turn in something to somebody to prove what they're doing. And
Well, we're not asking them to produce any product during this 2-hour time period. There's no.
no, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying in general, we ask them more all the time to do things, and so I can see the need for more time from them. I really struggle with taking it away from students.
I will add this. Research shows that the more planning time that we give to our teachers, the more our students gain. So if we give them these 2 hours, our students are going to gain so much more, because they can be more purposeful, they can be more succinct, so their instruction will be better with limited time than it would be if we weren't giving them this time.
I would totally agree with you if it was upfront training. I'm not so sure that would, but it very well could be.
No, because you're looking at data, you're driving into your curriculum, you're saying, our students aren't meeting here, where in our curriculum can we help them? How can now for the next month I produce something that'll help my students gain? And then do it again. Here's what our data is saying, where in our curriculum, how can we plan, how can we meet the needs of our students, and move forward.
Well, it's very true. A well-planned, no matter what you're doing, whether you're teaching or anything else, well-planned person is going to be much more productive. The other question I have is those days that are shortened by 2 hours, the functionality of those days, the productivity of those days, and this is another thing from being in a classroom. There's lots of ways of doing it, and I was wondering what the approach was going to be at our buildings on this. I mean, you can just lop off those 2 hours, and then but then you have the same 2 hours of classes missed all the time. I've seen it done that way, and so kids get a lot of subjects that are really shortened compared to others. You can shorten periods today, whatever it takes to make that 2 hours up, but then you're getting periods that are so short, making them productive periods is tough, so you're actually losing more than those 2 hours. These are just questions I have and I struggle with. And I totally agree, well planning is good. I'm not arguing that this time would be well spent. What I'm arguing is, doing it this way.
Well, I'm just trying to express to you what the feedback has been from a large group of people, teachers and administrators. And so my job as their leader is to help you understand when they need something, and they need this.
I'll give my sense on this. So I was asking questions, but my opinion on this, I've talked to a lot of teachers. 90% say they like this. They want it. I also see you're coming from, feel like losing educational hours. Yeah, that sucks for kids. But if I'm gonna choose between losing educational hours for kids or getting teachers a little bit more help and support with new curriculum, collaborating with their cohorts, talking about students to be more effective, I feel like a happy teacher or a not burned out teacher is going to be more effective in a classroom. And that's the feedback that I'm hearing. And as a district that's recently laid off approximately 20% of it, I feel like if a teacher's asking for help or thinking they need it, I'm going to try to give it. But also, the kids are also, I mean, they've lost a lot of hours too, between COVID and all the catch-up we have to do. But I'm leaning, for me, since we're talking about this, of like going yes. And also because Kim's done the due diligence of going out, and the information she's getting lines up with what I'm hearing. I'm just more worried about the back end on the actual operations of this. If for some reason there's a 1996 storm and we're like, oh crap, and we're adding on a week at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Because I'm just trying to think ahead. But as far as like the actual, like if nothing happened, I'm siding on the sides of giving them that 2 hour at least once a month so they can collaborate with their teachers and not feel so overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think that's where I land as well. I think the teachers are asking for the ability to improve the quality of instruction that they're providing, and I think that's really important. You know, obviously the minutes is huge too, but I think that for me this is a pretty easy yes, and that this is like, I'm hearing a resounding like, we need this to be better at our jobs for the kids. I don't see it as necessarily a takeaway from kids, but to Josh's point, the minutes thing, as long as we really manage that, I think that's important. But I feel like you brought some good points for us to at least wrestle with and make sure that we're keeping kids centered and focused.
I have faith that if we have a 1996 storm, that we'll be able to sit down and discuss this with staff and teachers and so on and figure out a solution. I think right now the requests and the demand appears to be very needed, to me appears to be very reasonable, and I think that making the decisions should be on the information we have now, and if the information changed, then we can deal with it. That's what our job is. So I'm good with it.
I kind of anticipated this when we switched the calendar. I kind of saw that I thought we were kind of squishing time. I think that consistency of knowing you've got those 2 hours.
Yeah, me too. I've been worried about it for a long time. And then, you know, like I just keep running, as the director of teaching and learning, I keep running into roadblocks where, you know, like we
Just
need
a minute,
to.
I see it, and I'll get
Emily.
you. Let her finish her thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Let me
If you can give us the organization you're with and all that good stuff.
people online will be mad if they can't hear. So last year we had the hourly early releases, which was 35 hours. We're talking only 3 hours or 3 days this time, so we're at 24 hours. So currently we're at 11 more hours of instruction, if I'm doing my math right, I hope.
Yeah, you are doing your math right. Yeah,
so
so we originally, when we talked during the calendar meetings, we were gonna do 3 days and early release.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was an option during the calendar meetings.
Yeah. So really that 14 hours is 3 hours less instruction.
If we go
compared
back to last
If
year,
you're talking
comparison.
about comparing the amount of hours. So it is less hours still, but it is really, we're only talking about 3 hours comparative to what we've been doing for the last couple of years.
And what I'm hearing, you're gonna make that up with better instruction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
That's all.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Emily.
Emily.
Thanks.
The last thing I have on this is also getting, if we go this way, the messaging has to go out because parents and communication have to be clear. Because I do know that early release was a mess for some people. I mean, I get it, because your kids, you only get daycare this many times, you're trying to get it scheduled. I mean, there's a whole other side of this between just the students and the teachers. There's also families and parents that all has to navigate this as well. So I'm
Yeah,
just
we'll be
worried to make
thoughtful
sure.
about how we push it out, yeah. And we won't do it, we'll give them lots of lead time.
Yeah, that communication piece will be huge. And I think part of the communication piece should be in preparation. It's kind of like our doomsday budget guy here. As far as-
You're doing a good job, Tom.
Tom, I love the transparency. Trust me, I do, and the seeing it ahead. But I do think we should prepare people. I don't think we should be any surprise. I think we should prepare people that hours would be close enough that if we had any extended closures due to inclement weather, power outages and stuff, there's a very real chance we need to add days, whether spring break into the year or whenever the heck we'd add them.
I agree.
I don't think we should hide that.
No surprises.
Yeah, no surprises.
Phil, I think
I
we
mean, as Emily calculated, it's similar to what we had last year, so we have plenty, we have cushion.
Well,
Not that I
Katie has
expect
a
people
question.
to read whatever.
Well,
we publish.
that's another thing. Did you have a comment, question, or?
Come
Go
on
ahead.
up so people can hear. Chop, chop.
Now I'll teach you to sit so far away,
Is the 14 hours starting in November or January?
I haven't figured it all out yet.
Okay,
So,
because we
like,
were looking and calculating 14 hours in November, but this doesn't start till January.
no, I said November.
She
I
said,
don't-
yeah.
Okay.
we
I
were-
don't know what
yeah.
happened in January.
Okay.
The information we had was
November.
based on probably starting in November.
And
Okay.
personally, I think if we do this, it should start in November.
Awesome. And then Phil, can I just address one of your comments?
Sure.
Okay. You had talked about being concerned about students losing instructional time
Yes.
and stuff. I can tell you with 95%, the new curriculum we adopted, it's taken, I think it's 2.5 weeks to teach 1 week of it. Because it's brand new and our
Right.
kids are brand new, like learning it. It's very scripted. It's intense.
Right.
But if I actually had time to meet with my coworker and we're going through and saying, okay, this is how we're going to do this, because it didn't have, we had to add some things in there to help kids because it assumed kids have been doing it since kindergarten and we're starting in 5th grade. But if I actually had that time to work with my teaching partner and we had time to go through it and really plan it out, my instruction would be much more effective as I'm delivering it, and we'd be able to get through it quicker, so they're actually getting better instruction.
Right. Right.
Even though it seems like we have less time, it's better instruction. So I just wanted to give that 2 cents as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Board, have any more discussion on the topic? Questions? Okay. Okay. Oh, okay, now the discussion on the, let's see, well, we got first reads, our first reads. So, any questions?
Are we going back to the readings instead of going to the band thing, or?
Yeah, band things after that,
Well,
tendencies.
on the agenda, I had readings before we did the candidates, so I just wanted to.
So, yeah, on the readings, anyone have any on those?
Are you talking about the third
First,
readings? or
first
the
read, the
readings?
first,
read.
third
First
readings we've passed, that was in consent
Yeah.
agenda, that's done
Good.
deal.
All right.
We're on first readings now.
Okay.
And these were all discussed at great length in policy team.
Yeah.
So-
I would just say Josh and I met with Tony and who was also in the room, several people in the room, and we've gone through all these policies and made various updates.
Okay. Did anyone have any questions? Okay.
Well, there is some grammatical errors.
Yeah.
Oh, so on those, just please, if you see them,
Uh-huh.
highlight them or whatever you need and send them to Tony
Okay.
or Debbie, who
Debbie goes
usually,
back
Debbie
through
does that,
them
yeah.
again.
Because,
Debbie wasn't there, that's why.
That's why they're
Yeah, so don't take her out there.
It's Debbie's fault.
She missed that day.
Okay.
I would, like, as a guy on the policy committee, me and Wally, it's one of those things, like, I really do appreciate if you guys do, I mean, I'm assuming you guys all do read it, just to catch something. Some of these, sometimes, these aren't the ones yet, I don't think, but I really wanted to take, sometimes like, no, I think we should just take to the board and let them make a decision. Because sometimes we're in there like, well, what do you think? Like, I think the board should decide. I don't think it should just be me or, you know, Wally and a couple administrators, some of this stuff. But so one of them was an AR, and so they were wanting to do that one. That was the first one. And then the rest of it was kind of more internal stuff,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
nothing really of these stood out for anything that we.
No one has any
Yeah.
questions of anybody?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
And as a policy fear, like I have phobia of policies because I think it's complicated in its language and it's
It
very.
is.
I appreciate the work of the 2 board members that are there and
Oh, yeah.
everybody
Well,
else.
the whole policy
participates.
committee, yeah.
Yes, the policy committee is a very important one. But I also appreciate the fact that you mentioned that I sure would expect that if you have a question where you don't feel that you are speaking totally for the board, if you have any question or doubt,
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that you would just bring it to us at the
Yeah.
meeting. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, and now the discussion concerning the band out-of-state field trip. Anybody got
Is Jones
information
there?
for us on that?
Oh, Andy Jones is gonna come up and present
Okay,
on
Andy.
that.
That's
Come
what
up
it
and
said-
enlighten
that's
us,
what it says on the
please.
agenda.
I kind of was expecting to be at 10 o'clock.
We can
can take a break
we
if you
can
want.
we can try harder if you like.
We can drill you till 10 o'clock if you want.
So this is kind of a late addition. Normally, we like to plan these things ahead, but this was kind of unexpected where 3 of our band students out of 400 qualified for a out-of-state band festival in Montana. And by board policy, we have to bring it to the board to get approved. And so Mr. Nelson, who was our band teacher, came to me on Friday afternoon, or not Friday morning. I did not have a chance to put it together till early this morning. And there is no board meeting prior to the registration date. So I was hoping that we could get on the agenda. So thank you for allowing me to come and speak on their behalf.
Can you talk about the process? It sounds like quite an honor, but.
Yeah, there was a tryout process. There was over 400 people that tried out, and Silverton had 3 students that qualified with different things.
Wow.
Selena Cortez, Will Smith, and Darian Nelson were our 3 qualifying students. They will go to the University of Montana School of Music November 14th, 15th, and 16th. They'll participate in rehearsals, workshops, final concert performance. They will work with composer John Mackey and the University of Montana music faculty and students. So it's a really good honor. It's well deserved. You know, as hard as they work, they don't get the notoriety that a lot of other groups get, but they do put in a lot of time. Listening to our 2 student representatives earlier and all of the things that our high school students have accomplished, I'm not surprised when we keep adding to that list.
What did these 3 young people play?
I knew you were going to ask that. I have no idea.
Musical instruments.
I don't know what instrument they play.
Are they self-funding their own trip?
Yes, this is not using any general fund money. They will raise money or raise funds. Just an estimate, and I don't have, and it's I should call it a guesstimate, but flights are going to be about $1,000. Hotel is going to be about $1,000.
Total?
Yeah. It doesn't cost a lot to fly to Missoula. And then they only need 3 rooms.
We should be able to easily fundraise for that as a community. Pretty cool. Good honor.
Yeah.
It's great.
And do they have someone accompanying them?
Yeah, Mr. Nelson is going to go, and then we have a parent going. So we'll have 3 participants and 2 chaperones.
It's a pretty good ratio.
Yeah. Well, and we're fortunate that 2 of the adults are going are parents of 2 of the people that are going to be participating. So that kind of helps in rooms at the hotel.
Any other questions?
No. Sounds great.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you. I will pass this on to.
I'm glad the music program continues to do so well.
Yes, they are getting better and better each year.
Okay.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Andy.
Andy.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone here in the room with public comment? Do we have anyone online with public comment?
I don't see anybody.
Okay. Moving on to our 2 action items then. I'll entertain a motion on the approving of the 2-hour release.
I'll make the motion to approve the new proposed 2-hour release calendar.
I second that.
It's been moved in second to approve the new 2 release calendar. Is there any further discussion? Okay. Now call for a vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no, nay? Okay, passed unanimously. Then on the approval of the out-of-state trip for the band members.
Move for approval?
Second.
Been moved and second to approve the out-of-state travel for the 3 band members to Montana. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Future agenda item requests.
I've got one I'll just mention. I met with a gentleman named Rob Steelman today from Super Eval. It's basically a superintendent evaluation platform, similar to kind of what we did with COSA, but we control out more of the access. There's a cost. It's about $2,000 a year, but at some point in the future, I think it'd be worthwhile to have him do his spiel and just present to the board. I think it's probably like where we should go in the future, but also obviously balancing that with cost. But a lot of internal controls where we're able to go in, see data, kind of do it on a more continuous basis. Great conversation. So.
Yeah, it looked cool when he sent me the
Yeah.
email. It's pretty cool.
So you're asking to possibly discuss this at the next meeting to see if we want to do it or not?
At a future meeting to potentially
Okay.
have him present, so the
And
board can
if
see.
he, just for clarification, so would there be a charge for him to present, or this would be to buy his product?
It would be to present the
Okay.
information. It's not at this point, it would be.
Sales pitch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Introduction. Okay.
I do have a question regarding when is our next strategic plan progress report or?
So the work group meets on October 30th, and then the committee meets right after that.
Okay.